Today on Monkey Life, fears for the health of one of the best-loved chimps in the park.
I'm not going to upset Charlie, not for anything.
Vet Mike is baffled.
Something sinister's happening. I can't put it more simply.
And the big freeze comes to Monkey World. This is Monkey World in Dorset. Tucked away deep in the English countryside, it's the largest sanctuary for monkeys and apes on the planet. And this is Dr. Alison Cronin, the primate's best friend. Alison and her team spend their lives rescuing...
Everybody's brilliant, really good.
...and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
It's a good one, we're pleased with you now.
They currently look after more than 240 monkeys and apes from 15 different species. It's quiet at the rescue centre. The weather's taken a distinctly wintry turn, and there are few visitors. But the team still have to take care of all the park's wildlife.
You can just make sure they don't come out, that'd be cool.
Some of the primates are braving the day, including Sage, the Siamang gibbon. Others have chosen to wrap up and keep warm indoors. Alison is away in Vietnam at the sanctuary's sister centre for rescued gibbons, leaving Jeremy in charge back home in Dorset. With the weather looking like it might get worse, he's hoping for a quiet day. But he's been called to the pavilions, the home of the bachelor chimps. The primate care team are worried about Charlie, one of the most iconic and popular inhabitants at the park. They've isolated him from the rest of the group.
You did like those yesterday, those are the plums. You don't want that. What about banana? Fancy a bit of banana? Take that as a no. Sometimes you push food in front of his nose and you don't want to know, but if you just let him, you know, look at this. All right, let me have a little choose here. All right. What's all this about? You're just playing with it, really, are you? He's lost a lot of weight, nearly 10 kilos, very, very suddenly. So that is the worrying thing as to why.
Jeremy and Charlie have had a very special relationship for more than 20 years. Charlie arrived at the park in 1989, joining the original group alongside Butch. But at approximately 7 years old, Charlie was in a much worse state than the others. He was a drug addict, doped with Valium daily to keep him under control, and had fractured feet, cataracts, a broken jaw, machete wounds to his head, and most of his teeth had been knocked out. After 5 years as a Spanish beach photographer's prop, he was scarred both physically and mentally. From the beginning, it was obvious there was something different about Charlie. His best friends were Jeremy, whom he adored.
You're not very good with these knots, are you? Albert Einstein, eat your heart out. What we got? What we get today, huh? What we got in your lunchbox today, little boy? You want those?
And Jim Cronin, Alison's late husband who started the park.
Hey. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Have I made a mess of it? Oh, he's a good boy. Oh, he's a good boy.
He's one of my favorites. You know, you shouldn't have favorites, but he's been through some stuff in his life, Charlie, for sure.
In his chimp life, he was number 2 to alpha male Rodney, but did little to fulfill his role helping keep the females under control. Charlie appeared to have fits where he created havoc and then quietened, looking confused and upset. Afterwards, he would make it up with Rodney, but he could never fully integrate into the group. Jim and Jeremy began to suspect that some of Charlie's problems were medical.
Stop it.
We think his eyesight is deteriorating. And what we want to do is get an eye surgeon in, have a good look at his eyes, see what's going on, and if there's anything we can do about it.
Exactly, he's developed a little bit of inflammation from some infection, unless there's a brain injury or something.
That's not beyond the bounds of possibility.
Despite trying to get on with the other chimps, Charlie eventually had to be separated from them. In the middle of a free-for-all, he offered his hand in friendship, only to get it bitten by another chimp.
Charlie, that's not good at all.
The injury was so bad his finger was amputated, and he was permanently removed from the group. Jeremy and Jim were always there to support him.
This is a temporary solution at best for Charlie. He's got Jeremy to look after him, and Charlie loves him. But Charlie is a social animal. Chimpanzee needs to be with other chimps.
And a new rescue in Spain provided the answer. Paquito was the performing pet of a Spanish actor, but had got so boisterous he couldn't control him. He was left locked up and chained in a shed for several years. Paquito had had no contact with other primates, and it was kind-hearted Charlie who taught him chimp behaviour. Once they bonded, the solution to their joint social problems was to merge them with the nursery group. But eventually, both became too boisterous and moved in with the bachelor chimps, led by Butch, who remembered Charlie from the old days.
It was a huge reunion, I'm sure of it, for Butch and
They remembered
Charlie.
each other for sure.
No question.
Butch went in with the play face.
Yeah, no question.
Charlie's favourite pastimes have always been eating and displaying at passing tanks from the nearby army base. But above all, it's been his special relationship with Jim
You're such a tough guy.
and Jeremy
Yes, that's my boy.
that has captured the public's imagination and sustained Charlie from the early days of his rehabilitation to the good times that followed. Because of his tragic background, Charlie, now 27, is old before his time. Jeremy has called in vets Mike Nathan and David Harding.
He's like little old man.
The vets have decided a scan may reveal the cause of Charlie's illness. Blood samples taken earlier in the week were inconclusive.
It's a bit of a long shot because it's a conscious animal, and I will have to do it because he don't want the vet with him. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll be working on direct instructions from David, who really is good at this sort of thing.
Just try and angle it forward up towards the liver. So much gas and fat in there, you're just getting a crappy image.
Dave comes in and stands in the corner and just slowly...
Let's see what happens, because
Can you see what happens?
But as soon as he starts getting...
Yeah, no.
Yeah, as soon as he starts, we'll... Yeah.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Because
I'll go in and...
chances are he will. You know, if at any point he says enough, then we'll stop. I'm not going to upset Charlie, not for anything. I'll duff him up for you. No. No, I think he's...
No, I think the thing is that when you know what you do, you've got to push really quite hard.
Yeah,
in
Or
a
should we
conscious mode.
try sedating him?
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
want to
I
back
mean-
off then.
The only thing I think, if you're going down the route of sedating him, then would it be sensible to delay it till we can X-ray him as well?
Well, the X-ray machine...
Charlie doesn't want Dave near, so they abandon the scan and decide to try again when an X-ray machine is available. And both can be done at the same time under sedation. While Jeremy tries to make Charlie comfortable, the care team lets some of the other chimps through to the outdoor enclosures.
It's great. I've never seen snow in Dorset so far. This is the first for me, and it's probably the first for quite a few of the chimps here. Maybe some of the oldies might have seen snow, but most of the guys won't have seen snow ever. So they're all quite excited. They're all like eating the snow, getting big handfuls and stuffing it in their mouths. It's almost like natural enrichment for them because it's something that they don't see every day.
The chimps' first forage of the day is usually a noisy affair, but today they all seem a lot less boisterous. They're fascinated by the white stuff.
I think they just maybe enjoy the feeling of the cold. I don't know. I suppose we enjoy eating ice lollies, so there's no reason why they wouldn't. I mean, they love the ice lollies with the juice in the summer, but again, with the ice, it's not got any flavour in it, so it must just be that maybe they like the feeling of the tongue going numb or something, I'm not sure.
Sausage on you. Get you nice and warm again.
Jeremy is extremely worried about Charlie, one of the best-loved chimps at the park.
All right. Oh, you want your foot rubbed? Okay.
He's called in the vets and is ringing Alison hourly with updates. She's in Vietnam visiting the Gibbon Rescue Centre and not due back for a few more days.
Charlie is a very, very, very sick animal. And because of his medical background, all his resistance will be low to fight anything off because he's got very few of his organs are working properly anyway, and so that makes him more vulnerable.
Vets Mike and Dave agree.
Quite obvious he's lost a lot of weight. When an animal loses that amount of weight, you're always worried about what nasty thing might be going on inside him.
The bloods really have flagged up a level of anemia with no obvious cause, and what we normally call the anemia of chronic disease, which suggests a sort of chronically ill animal.
Just lying here, I'm just thinking of all the things that are broken on Charlie. He's clearly had a broken foot at some stage. He's got cataracts. He's obviously had a fractured jaw and skull at some stage. He's got wounds on him that were probably machete wounds. He's question mark brain damage with epileptic fits. His teeth are, how many teeth has he got now? 3 or 4? I don't know. Not many. And clearly had a big lump that's just gone from his jaw at some point. Yeah. His stomach, actually, is about the only thing that really was working all right. You know, he'd eat for Africa, and he'd never had stomach issues. You just never gave up there, did you?
The vets don't have an answer without further tests, and no one really wants to put poor Charlie through that. The team decide to let him rest and see if there's any improvement in his condition. Jeremy stays with him throughout the rest of the day and into the night. Next morning, and the weather is even worse. The park has just closed, but the primate care team have struggled into work to look after the animals. Keeper Kate wants to make sure her charges don't get winter colds and makes up a special cocktail of honey and lemon to boost their immune systems.
Colds can go throughout the group pretty quickly and they hit chimps pretty hard, so if we can try and prevent that, then that's the best thing. A couple of cups. Want some lemon, guys? This is Simon. Marceline. So we tried to give cup to everyone, but obviously they come round again, but it doesn't matter. Good boy, Simon.
But while Hananya's group enjoy their medicinal drinks, over at the bachelor group, it's not just the weather that's getting worse. Jeremy has called the vets back in. Charlie has gone downhill overnight.
We've just put Charlie on a drip. He's deteriorating. Something sinister's happening. I can't put it more simply. He's not in pain. He's just fading. And if that's the case, I'm going to let him fade. We're not going to do anything invasive. We have to accept that something like that is happening with him.
His sensory perception's still there, and I just don't believe he's suffering pain. I think he's just drifting.
If we see he's suffering, we'll help him. It may be that a little bit of treatment might make a difference, but I'm going to put him through pain. And I can't see the point of doing that when I know I've got an animal that I'm losing. He's been through a lot, this poor fella. But he's also served the purpose of educating a lot of people, because he was a beach chimp, and he's educated people to try and realise the things that go on. I just hope he fades away. I don't want to have to, all of us, in terms of putting animals to sleep and euthanasia, it's always hard.
As the day wears on, it becomes more and more evident that Charlie isn't going to make it. Jeremy, Mike, and keeper Cara stay by his side and try their best to make him comfortable. But as the hours pass, Jeremy and Mike realise they have no choice. After his brave battle through life, courageous Charlie has given up, and there is no more hope.
Thanks, mate. We had nowhere to go, so we ended it for him. When you see somebody every day of your life, they leave a void when they go. It isn't always a positive void they leave, or a negative void they leave, but they leave a void. There's always a gap.
Well, like everything here at the park, life marches on, no matter how significant or insignificant the loss is. Life just continues to move forward here, and you do the best you can at all times for every individual, and some of them have longer and more emotional links, which Charlie was a perfect case of that. So, yeah, you do feel very high-strung and emotional about the whole thing, but then at the same time, the next day dawns and there's either a new arrival, somebody else who needs your help, and therefore You have to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. This is our saving grace in a certain way, is that the animals keep our focus and attention, because even if somebody does pass away and it is terribly upsetting and emotional, you've got the other 240 odd faces looking to you saying, we need you too.
The day after we lost Charlie, I did go down to the statue of Jim and Charlie and tell them both off for leaving me with this, you know, abandoning the ship and leaving me with all this lot, you know, doing the, you know, setting it all up and then clear off and leaving me with all the responsibility, but I got it off my chest.
The fact that both Jim and Charlie have passed away now is just terribly tragic for us, but, you know, we've got sort of an incredible memory of them both, a sculpture which is just breaks my heart to look at, but also fills me full of optimism, because Charlie is a tribute to that, the optimism that exists here at Monkey World in terms of rehabilitating all of the monkeys and apes that come our way.
Aren't you the best, huh? You the best.
Next time on Monkey Life, the team are in Vietnam for groundbreaking eye surgery on a golden-cheeked gibbon.
It is a very, very special and very, very difficult case for us.
And Alison hits trouble when she tries to rescue a rare silvered langur monkey.
We will stop, don't worry.
Today on Monkey Life, the team is in Vietnam at a very special rescue centre.
We have the perfect opportunity here to provide these guys with a very natural life again and to get them back out into the forest where they belong.
Plus, groundbreaking eye surgery on a golden-cheeked gibbon.
We are putting the lens in. How is she doing?
But can it restore her sight? And trouble when Alison tries to rescue a rare silvered langur monkey. This is Monkey World in Dorset, the largest rescue centre for monkeys and apes on the planet. 6,000 miles away lies its sister sanctuary, Dao Tien Rescue Centre. It was started by Dr. Alison Cronin with the help of the Vietnamese government and Ping Tung Rescue Centre in Taiwan. Back home in England, she cares for 240 primates from 15 different species, but she's now also responsible for a growing number of monkeys and apes in Vietnam.
Here on Dao Tien, it's a very different sort of ethos and focus to what we normally do at Monkey World. It isn't about the individuals here so much as it is getting rescued primates back out into the wild and ensuring that they're protected and safe in the wild setting and that the illegal trade doesn't continue.
Dao Tien stands on an island in Vietnam's largest and most diverse conservation zone, Cat Tien National Park. The centre aims to rescue endangered primates, including golden-cheeked gibbons, langurs and loris, and where possible, return them to the wild. Over the last 9 years, Alison has worked with the local authorities to establish the centre.
For us, the very important aspect is that we are not just making a zoo. We do not plan on just keeping the gibbons in the cages. we will plan on getting them into the trees.
In charge of day-to-day operations is Dr. Marina Kenyon, helped by her team of Vietnamese keepers. Marina was previously based at the Dorset Sanctuary.
This is my passion, and I'm actually not missing anything else, because I know everyone else in England is being cared for. But here and now, these need your help, and I think I can help them.
Marina has travelled 3 hours to Vung Tau to meet up with expat and animal lover Bob Taylor, who lives there.
Mika.
Bob has rescued a variety of rare animals from the pet trade and built accommodation for them at his home. None of his primates are candidates for release back into the wild due to a variety of health reasons, but Marina has been advising him on their care. They both have concerns about Mika, a golden-cheeked gibbon Bob recently found in a Ho Chi Minh City pet store.
I went down there, my driver went down there first to buy food for my birds, and he told me about this monkey in the cage. And I happened to be in Ho Chi Minh City on business at that time, and I went round to have a look. And then in the back room, under this piece of newspaper, they pulled out this box, steel box with Mika in it. And that's basically how I took pity, and I couldn't walk away. Absolutely could not walk away. And so I took her home with me, there and then. When we got her home and took her out of the cage, she actually couldn't walk. She'd just shuffle along on her all fours. Her back legs were virtually useless, and her arms were so weak, she couldn't raise them up to take a banana out there. You know, that was really how bad she was and sick she was.
She's been in a small cage, in the dark, no sunlight. She's had vitamin deficiency, and her bones have just grown in a 45-degree bend. There's no breaks, they've not been broken, that's how they've grown. So she spent a long time welded in that cage, unable to move.
Mika's condition has improved greatly thanks to Bob's care. And with freedom to move around, her muscles have begun to build up. But Bob discovered Mika had another major problem. Cataracts covering both eyes meant she was only partially sighted. Now the cataracts have thickened, leaving her blind in both eyes. But after exhaustive research, Marina has come up with a solution.
We've actually found some of the best eye surgeons in the world who are in Vietnam, and they've very, very happily agreed to help Mika. They believe very strongly in the welfare and the wildlife of Vietnam. They've all come in, volunteered on a Saturday to come in, use their best equipment, their best technology to try and restore Mika's sight.
The top surgeons from Ho Chi Minh City Hospital normally operate on human patients. A training hospital has offered their facilities for the operation, which has never been attempted before on a gibbon.
There are a lot of things that can go wrong, so it is a very, very special and very, very difficult case for us.
Cataracts are a clouding that develops in the lens of the eye, which prevents light entering it. It's a common problem in humans and often easily rectified with minor surgery.
You're such a good girl.
But they're replacing the lenses on Mika, not just removing the cataracts.
Good girl, Mika.
Monkey World vet Femke gives Mika a jab to put her under.
If you can pull it back, look.
Anesthetics are always a risk, and it's a tense time for the medical team.
I'll now give her the eye drops. They are to dilate her pupils.
Femke, I think you want to keep her face up so the eye drop will not run out.
Like this?
Yep, like that.
It's unclear whether Mika's eye problems are hereditary or developed because of her time in captivity.
Lovely. Găng tay vô.
The plan is to remove the lenses from both of Mika's eyes and replace them with artificial ones approximately the same size as needed for a child. First, precise measurements are taken to determine the size of the artificial lenses she'll need. Dr. Tien uses a high-power microscope to help him make the first incision. He then removes the lenses and cleans the eye to remove any residue. But there's a worrying discovery.
it is more like a congenital cataract.
So she got it when she was born, really?
Right.
Yeah.
And if this is truly a congenital cataract, there is a possibility that her retina cell have not developed well compared to other gibbon without cataract.
This adds a new element to Mika's sight problem, but the team decide to carry on, delicately place the new lenses, then secure them with stitches.
This is very, very likely that she will see a lot better than before.
That's fantastic.
With surgery over, Mika slowly comes round from the anaesthetic.
Usually in humans, after cataract surgery, they will put some eye cover on the eyes, but with Mika, that will make her so stressed because she will think, what's covering my eyes? And she's a wild animal, and we cannot tell her, you have to leave it on there, leave your eyes alone. So we decided against it and to leave her without, so hopefully we'll be fine. We have to keep her in the dark right now because her pupils are dilated because of the drugs. So if she sees too much light at once, that will hurt her and can damage her retina.
All in all, I do believe that she will see a lot better than before.
That's great.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Well, we're happy too, that's for sure.
Yeah, so keep sending us more animal cataract. We will be more happy.
Every Saturday.
Mika heads home to Bob and the other rescued gibbons. But will she be able to see them? Primates are kept as pets and as tourist attractions all over Asia, and the team know they can't rescue them all. But today, Alison and Marina are on their way to Saigon. They're heading for a city restaurant where Alison spotted an endangered silvered langur monkey on her last visit. Mr. Tan, head of Dao Tien National Park, has been in negotiations with the owner.
Tan has arranged, I think, for the langur to be donated willingly. So we're really pleased we don't have to organize the police or anything like that today. Hopefully with their cooperation, not only are we going to rescue the langur, but hopefully they'll stop trading in primates.
Maybe in the future he might start to support conservation, stop taking in wild animals, and just look after the ones he has, and slowly over time just reduce in size.
Alison has been aware of the restaurant for some time. In 2006, she went there with her late husband, Jim Cronin, who started Monkey World. They filmed this distressing footage. Then the restaurant was famous for serving bear bile, a traditional Eastern medicine, said to be a cure for many ailments, and for which there is now a synthetic substitute.
So, how many? 1, 2, 3, 10, 20. How many bears?
Alison and Jim discovered more than 100 Asiatic bears held in small cages.
Now, I know you'd have muscle wastage in tiny cages like this, but their back ends are just really bad, everybody's.
There were also many endangered species, including golden cats, tigers, and clouded leopards. The bears would be sedated and wheeled out on trolleys to the restaurant tables, where bile would be extracted from the live animal and fed to paying customers. In Vietnam, the practice has now been outlawed and the government is cracking down, but the trade still persists there and elsewhere in the world. This restaurant appears to have stopped this barbaric practice, although wild animals are still on show. The team have worked hard to get the owner on side, but it's not a done deal, and everything has to be handled very delicately.
I've got Marina right now, has gone with a young man to survey back behind where we knew that there were loads of other animals as well. So she's having a quick shufty around to see what else might be here. and we're just going to see the boy. But I've asked everybody if it's okay, and they said okay. But we might get apprehended yet.
And just as Alison catches sight of the caged silvered langur,
we will stop. Don't worry. Excuse me. Dr. Him, perhaps you could explain. We just asked the owner, and he said okay.
But news of the agreement between Alison and the restaurant owner hasn't reached the on-site staff, and her path has been blocked.
Don't, it's okay, it's okay. No problem, no problem.
With the silvered langur just feet away, Alison needs to quickly defuse the situation until the boss can be found.
It's no problem. I would not do this unless I asked.
Tantalizingly close to the endangered animal, Alison grows more concerned about his condition.
I come here 9 months ago, and he was a bit bigger. So I think he is losing weight, he is losing condition. I think we are lucky to come when we do. Because I think he will die eventually if he keeps losing weight. Yeah, he's skinny now.
With her path obstructed, Alison can only hope the restaurant owner is found soon.
I wonder how Marina's going.
Marina arrives with the Vietnamese team and the rescue cage. But with Alison's access denied so far, there's no guarantee it'll be used.
Marina, we have to stay here. They're being very fierce right now.
Okay.
How do you go?
We saw 2 leopards and lots of chickens and lots of empty cages.
Yeah, no, I think this place is folding up, which is the problem.
Finally, the owner is found, and with the help of Mr. Tien, Alison works hard to defuse a tense situation.
If you could translate for me, Monkey World has worked with 16 different governments around the world, always in cooperation with central government. We never buy animals, we never try and go in and take them ourselves. We would like to work in cooperation with everybody. We do not mean to cause trouble for anybody. We just would like to make a nice life for the monkey. So I appreciate your assistance. Thank you very much.
With the owner showing his public support, his staff relax and the recovery can begin.
You're happy for them to film putting the monkey in the box?
Yes.
Okay.
Sociable silvered langurs behave very differently from gibbons. They're leapers rather than swingers and move around in much larger groups. This small male can move around his cage, but he has a chipped tooth and an abscess. More importantly, he's desperately lonely and craves attention. This critically endangered species is notoriously difficult to keep in captivity and can get very stressed.
We have better net. If they would wait, I would prefer it that they wait. See, this is a problem. They are just going to wind him up.
Alison knows it's very important to keep this animal as calm as possible.
He's thinking. Yeah, he's thinking about it. Watch the tail. Oh, no, no, too soon. And you have to be careful of the tail. As soon as he starts to go in, maybe he can push him in the rest of the way. Well done. We will get you.
You're very light.
Excellent job, well done. Actually went really smoothly and quite pleased. Didn't have to give any sedation or anything. He's really very happy. I think he's got a load of nice fruit and he seems quite calm in the cage, so it's now just a couple of hours to the national park.
He's skinny, maybe older than we thought. I think he might be an oldish man. But yeah, he's lovely.
But I expect just getting him back to a more natural setting with people who know how to care for him, I think that he's going to respond really positively, getting the physical things done, like the broken teeth. He's going to be a new little monkey, and it's just really exciting and what we're all about.
Marina and Alison have stopped off in Vung Tau to see expat animal lover Bob Taylor and little Mika, the golden-cheeked gibbon. And the news is good. The groundbreaking surgery to remove cataracts on her eyes and replace her lenses has met with success.
She's looking good, isn't she?
The pre-existing retina damage in her left eye means only 30% of the vision has returned. But her right eye now has 100% vision.
She just took it all in her stride. There was
Just
no
as though
difference.
she'd never had lost her sight at all. It's just as though it was just normal and natural. We were so surprised, weren't we?
And little Jin, her main friend. Yeah, I know Jin. She's my mate, and I'll protect her even more now that I can see her and make sure that no one's causing any trouble.
And she certainly does that. Well, I'm happy now. She's getting around there and she's ruling the roost. Now she can see they don't take her food away from her. She takes it from them. Yeah? She's really good.
Mika will never be able to look after herself in the wild, but she can now look forward to life being cared for by Bob and his team and surrounded by other gibbons. Alison and Marina's workload is constant, and their days are long. They're on their way back to the rescue centre with the rare silvered langur. It's a tiring half-day journey by boat and road, and they're anxious to get him settled. The silvered langur will have to remain isolated from other gibbons until he's passed his health checks. But he'll have plenty to eat.
Langurs are leaf eaters. Now, the different species, you know, Duke langurs, silvery langurs, they all have different tolerances to levels of sugar. So in the wild, they'd all be eating sort of leaves and basically unripe, pithy fruits that have very little sugar in them. And you can see already he's quite interested. But he's not entirely sure, because I think already in captivity, you know, they've been feeding him a lot of sweet fruits, and so the bitter ones don't taste so nice. So it's a slow and steady process, and one that we begin on the first day here at Dao Tien, really. Marina and her team have a lot of work ahead of them here on Dao Tien. We've got, you know, monkeys and apes coming in that need a lot of care and support, both physically and mentally, and, you know, trying to get them to a state from captivity where they've suffered, some of them, terrible, terrible abuse, back into a fit state to go back to the wild is an enormous task. And it's, you know, quite daunting when you sort of consider it from where some of them have come from to where we want to get them back to. But you just have to stay focused and take each day at a time, and eventually you win the war and get them back out into the forest where they belong.
Next time on Monkey Life. Wintry weather means flu jabs for the chimps.
Yeah.
And an anxious morning at the woolly monkey house.
They discovered little Raúl on his back in one of the tunnels.
Today on Monkey Life. It's a chilly start for the chimps as winter sets in. And an anxious morning at the woolly monkey house.
They discovered little Raúl on his back in one of the tunnels.
Results in a desperate fight for life for baby Raúl.
The prognosis is reserved at the minute. I'm not sure.
This is Monkey World in Dorset. Tucked away deep in the English countryside, it's the largest sanctuary for monkeys and apes on the planet. And this is Dr. Alison Cronin, the primate's best friend. Alison and her team spend their lives rescuing
Yeah, everybody's brilliant. Really good.
and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
Well, we're pleased with you now.
They currently look after more than 240 monkeys and apes from 15 different species. It's been snowing at the park for hours. And for Mike, Holly and the rest of the team at the Woolly Monkey House, a day which started badly has just got worse.
Yeah, they came in as normal, around about sort of 8:15. Everybody was happy here. All of the woolly monkeys here in the top house were walking about, moving around. Everybody was as normal. And then literally half an hour later, they discovered little Raúl on his back in one of the tunnels. Why and how he actually got there, we just don't know. It's just a complete mystery as to what happened.
Raúl has been rushed to the vets only semi-conscious and in shock. The primate care team are in shock too. Raúl had such a good start in life. He was born 4 months ago, the second baby for woolly monkey mum, Paquita. It's hard to test woolies for pregnancy.
Pee.
And keeper Holly spent hours trying to train her to give a urine sample.
Paquita. Pee. Come on.
No one was quite sure when she was due to give birth. But one autumn morning, the keepers arrived to find her clutching a tiny newborn boy.
Here she is, she's doing very well, she's looking after the baby, and at the moment we're just watching and waiting to see if she's suckling it properly. It's currently holding onto my finger with its tail, and it's moving around, it seems very curious about things, and it's vocalising to the rest of the group, so at the moment things are looking very positive.
Holly and her colleagues were delighted to discover that Paquita was proving to be a good mum, and the baby was suckling well. But Holly did have some concerns about the speed of baby Raúl's progress and Paquita's unusual way of carrying him around.
We never like to be too optimistic because it kind of tempts fate. But Paquita decided to do things her own way. She wasn't carrying the baby how woolly monkeys normally do. Normally they carry them straight down their chest so it's easy for them to feed. She decided she was going to carry it like a human would, between her two arms like this. And Raúl has decided he's much happier on her back or hanging horizontally on her side, which is kind of out of the ordinary, but it works for these guys. And he's feeding very well, he's very, very strong. And everything, even though it's not quite normal, seems to be going very, very well indeed.
But this morning, that's all changed, and Mike is still stunned and unsure what's happened.
For something like this to go wrong, it's devastating. It just seems so unfair. We had to take him away from his mum because obviously he needed medical attention. So we managed to get him away from his mum, put him on a little hot water bottle because he was obviously cold, and wrapped him up in nice furry blankets, cuddled him so that he became warm again. And then he was taken off to the vets, which was the quickest option, so that they could have an immediate look at him and hopefully maybe discover something that's wrong with him.
Coming up, It's touch and go for Raúl, as vets fight to save the tiny woolly monkey and the team wait anxiously for the result of X-rays.
It just seems to be an unfortunate accident.
It's stopped snowing, but it's still very cold. And most of the primates are keeping warm indoors.
It's obviously more challenging to move animals around when the weather is bad, and we've had to take certain precautions. For example, we wouldn't let the capuchin monkeys out in this kind of weather, and that's really because they've only been here for a year, and they're still really finding their feet and learning how to come back in when it's cold, and so we haven't risked it, and we've not let them out because we'd be worried about certain individuals who may sit out in the snow. But the older animals and the animals that are in a good routine, that we do know that they will come back if they get too cold, then obviously we can let them out and enjoy it. But you just need to keep an eye on everyone and make sure there's no one sitting out, because obviously they'll get cold if they're out for long periods.
The chimps are a hardy bunch, and some of Hananya's group brave the weather, fascinated by the white stuff decorating their enclosure. Over at Paddy's group, the snow has had a calming effect on normally boisterous gamba. Kathy prefers cracking the ice in the pond for a chilly snack. It's a favourite with leader Paddy. And dominant female Cindy.
I think the chimps do suffer from the cold just like we do. So they tend to go out and have a run around and brave the cold weather, but then they like to come back in to warm up. So they've not been out for long, but they've certainly been out enjoying it.
To warm them up, Paddy's group are about to have a treat. Hot jacket potatoes.
It's something that we do right the way through the winter. We like to hand feed them just to make sure that everybody gets one, because it is a firm favourite with them. So I'm just chopping them into halves, and then Maria and I will go up into the tunnel area and give them out to the chimps. During the winter time, it is important that we keep a good weight on all our chimps, so we like them to be a little bit heavier during the winter, so we do tend to up the calories slightly during the winter time, and then obviously if they get any colds or coughs, they can maintain their same body weight. So any of the ones that are slightly skinnier can have a couple, and then there's a couple that just get one or two.
Good girl, Athena. And that's pretty much it for these guys in the tunnel. They've all had their fair share.
It's snowing again, and despite the anxiety over woolly monkey Raúl's fall, the team need to keep the park running. Jeremy is definitely not a fan of today's weather.
There's nothing positive about snow. Why anybody thinks there is totally and utterly beyond me. It's bad. In weather like this, the guys just stay indoors. One or two people will go outside and have a look and think, God, that's cold, and then go back in again. And that, I'm with them. Obviously, the biggest problem is keeping the chaps warm, and you cross your fingers and hope not too much breaks down. But it gives George something to do with his chaps, doesn't it? Keeps them off the street.
George is head of maintenance, and in this weather, it's important he keeps the heating going so the animals stay warm. Amy's capuchin group are really appreciative. It's too cold for them to even venture outside, but with the heating turned up and the keepers providing a challenging supply of extra vitamins, they've plenty to keep them entertained. Clever Elvira is first to show her balancing skills, while Fiona finds it a bit trickier to break open a melon. The capuchins were all rescued from a lab. Their balance and coordination has hugely improved since their old life in solitary confinement, as Marcy demonstrates, managing to pierce the melon skin with her sharp teeth and reach inside for the fruit and seeds. The girls are definitely getting their 5 a day with the fruit, but the veg is less popular. Dominant female Amy shows a preference for melon and doesn't give up even when it hits the deck. Capuchins are from tropical Central and South America, so they're happy to just watch the snow from their window and enjoy the feast. But whatever the conditions, work doesn't stop for the keepers at the 65-acre site. They've more than 240 apes and monkeys spread across 20 different enclosures to feed and look after. But with the park being so close to the coast, they don't often get such bad weather, and it's a bit of a novelty for keepers and animals alike.
Certainly I haven't seen snow since I've been here, so yeah, it's very rare obviously in this part of the country, so it's nice. Occasionally we've had tiny bits, but nothing that's settled, you know, quite like this. They're funny, the chimps, because they'll always look first, and they have, of course, seen frosty mornings, and so that can look quite white, but they all came into the bedrooms this morning and were staring out the windows and weren't quite sure what to make of it, but once they braved the outside, they enjoyed it. They seem to be very robust, actually, chimps, when it comes to that sort of thing. Often in the summertime, they'll hold ice lollies for 20, 30 minutes, so they do seem to be more immune to that, and they like the cold textures, so they came in and they had sort of breakfast in one hand and a snowball in the other.
Honey enjoys the snow, but isn't quite so keen on the cold, and has brought her snowball indoors. While Turkish chimp Zeynep, well, she just fancies having a duvet day. In their native Africa, chimps wouldn't experience temperatures this cold, so the park takes every precaution to keep them healthy over the winter.
Yes, of course, chimps can get the things that we can get, and so staff have to be very careful around this time of year. Obviously, if we're harbouring a cold or a cough, we need to be very careful around the chimps, take precautionary measures, for example, wearing face masks and that kind of thing.
And they go one step further.
Every chimp that lives at Monkey World gets a flu jab. Some years ago, we started actually the injection training with the chimps with a view to be able to do this kind of thing. If you can do it in this way, where it's, you know, they know exactly what's happening and they get a reward for doing it, it's a much nicer way of doing it.
Cookie is a perfect patient, as Kate gives her the injection in her shoulder, while Cara goes through her checklist to see who still needs a jab. Zeynep isn't happy, but presents her arm for a second time. And gets a banana and a packet of raisins as a reward. While the chimps line up for their flu inoculations, Holly has arrived at the vet's with baby woolly Raúl. He appears to have had a fall, but the keepers don't know exactly what happened. At the surgery, they're more used to dealing with domestic pets, but Vet Thezar takes blood tests and x-rays straight away.
That's a good sample. That's good, good.
Baby Raúl is in great distress, but the vet must give him a thorough check to discover what's wrong.
he was collapsed, he was dying, no doubt. He was very, very poorly, just with a really, really heart was beating really fast and was white, the color of the membranes was completely white, was shocked. So we put shock fluids, which is, you know, very fast fluids in turn to perk up that circulation. And then it's when we took some x-rays and we found out that the bone's density is not that good in the x-rays. And now what he's having is lack of calcium in the bloodstream and is making to be very, very sick. So yes, I think perhaps has had some head trauma. I have to admit there's a big uncertainty if this is going to be, you know, life-threatening or not. Certainly with head trauma, you know, you cannot be certain. So the prognosis is reserved at the minute. I'm not sure.
The next few hours will be critical for little Raúl. Still in shock, and with a head injury which could be more severe because of a weakness in his bones, he's only just clinging to life.
In fact, the eyes, they are still moving a little bit.
Woolly monkeys are endangered and are bred at the park as part of the European Endangered Species breeding program. Highly strung and hard to keep in captivity, every baby counts, and losing Raúl would be a terrible blow for the team. The decision is made to keep Raúl in overnight. But in the morning, it's bad news. Raúl's condition deteriorated, and he didn't survive the night.
It's just so unfortunate. I mean, you can't really put it into words. I mean, Mother Paquita was doing so beautifully with that baby. And the baby was just fantastic. It was interacting with all the other woolly monkeys. And they are so rare, these animals, and it is very, very important that we do breed from these guys. And this is just devastating. The only thing that seems to have happened is that he had a really massive bang to the head, had internal bleeding, which caused hemorrhaging, and unfortunately that's what he died of. So it was just literally probably a freaky accident. We don't even know how that occurred. He was a very adventurous little boy. He was always climbing and jumping about all over the place. Whether he missed up in the rafters of the front bedroom and fell to the floor, we don't know, but certainly Mum did try to pick him up, and of course he wasn't able to hold on to her. We just haven't got a clue. It just seems to be an unfortunate accident.
Raúl was a rare woolly monkey, so losing him is very upsetting for the team. Breeding at the park is limited because space is needed for mistreated primates from all over the world. But Alison is committed to the European Endangered Species breeding program, which ensures the survival of the woolies, orangutans, and golden-cheeked gibbons.
You know, we do everything we can to assist those three species at the park by setting up different family groups and encouraging them to reproduce and to have babies and to look after them themselves, because that's what's most important to us, is that if we breed these animals, we want them to have natural lives and for their mothers to care for them. So wherever possible, we encourage the mothers of those three species to care for their own infants and to get on with their own lives. And with the golden-cheeked gibbons, they seem to do pretty well at mothering. So far, we've been going great guns with our golden-cheeked breeding program.
Which is why, after the sad loss of Raúl, Alison is delighted later in the week to meet up with keeper Colin and hear some good news.
So you think we've got a second one in the pipeline?
Yeah, she looks like she's pregnant, ready to go anytime now.
Okay, and how's Tien coping with that?
Okay, he's being pushed away by her a little bit,
yeah.
But he's spending more time playing with his dad now.
Yeah, we're fairly sure that Peanut is pregnant now. It's been 2.5, 3 years since Tien was born. She's certainly a lot bigger in the belly. She's got quite a little round belly now, and she's always been pretty keen on her food, but she's fiercely keen on her food now. She's eating a lot more. The swelling started off quite high up, it's now dropping a little bit, so we're hoping that she'll give birth possibly within the next few months. Peanut lives with her husband, her mate, Punyo, and their little son, Tien. Now, Tien's 2.5 to 3 years old now. Tien's always been very close to his mother, but he's a lot more independent now. He spends a lot of the time playing around on his own. And also, in the past few weeks, he's been spending more time with Punyo, with his father. Now, whether this is because Peanut's actually trying to wean him or, move him away a little bit, knowing that she's pregnant, then that could be another sign. But at the moment, Tien's spending a lot of time with his father, playing together quite happily.
Peanut was rescued from a tropical bird smuggler in Cambridgeshire after a court case in which Alison gave expert testimony. Peng Yo, her mate, was stolen from the wild in Vietnam for the pet trade in Taiwan. Although Peanut's pregnancy means she's trying to wean Tien before her new baby is born, she's still happy to share a cuddle.
We do take very seriously all of those new lives that come to the park, and we're over the moon when we see that we've been doing the right things for our rescued monkeys and apes.
Next time on Monkey Life, tests for chimp Trudy as fears grow for her health.
Anything that's going to be sinister like a tumour is going to show up nice and bright.
And baby Diego leaves Alison for his woolly monkey family. Today on Monkey Life, fears grow for Trudy, one of the park's most famous chimps.
Anything that's going to be sinister like a tumour is going to show up nice and bright.
Marcel the marmoset proves to be a star pupil.
Marcel hand. Good boy, well done.
And baby Diego finally graduates and joins his woolly monkey family. This is Monkey World in Dorset. Tucked away deep in the English countryside, it's the largest sanctuary for monkeys and apes on the planet. And this is Dr. Alison Cronin, the primate's best friend. Alison and her team spend their lives rescuing...
Pretty huge, yeah, it doesn't get much huger.
...and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
You see, we're all head shaking hello.
They currently look after more than 240 monkeys and apes from 15 different species. There's been growing concern over the health of chimp Trudy. The youngster was rescued as a baby from circus owner Mary Chipperfield, who was prosecuted for cruelty.
Don't start, please, Trudy, because I'm not in that sort of a mood.
Over the last few weeks, Trudy has been displaying signs of back problems.
32.5 then.
But a series of X-rays has failed to provide a definitive answer.
It's narrowed down the possibilities of what Trudy's problem is, that work that we did on her the other day, but it still leaves us with a full range of something that is terminal and not very nice for Trudy's future, or something that simply is a case of she needs to be, a little bit cautious for a while and she'll heal up and get better. Still sort of we need to do a bit more investigating and find out. I am very concerned for Trudy.
The X-rays suggest there may be some kind of mass around the vertebrae in Trudy's upper spine. That could indicate a tumour, which might be cancerous or not. An infection, but her blood tests were clear. Or be the result of a previous trauma injury.
I'm going to call an urgent meeting with all of our vets so that we can have a plan of action, because at the moment, all three possibilities basically mean us just managing her in the way that we are.
Alison's prepared to go to any length to solve Trudy's problems, so the team decide to call in a special mobile medical device. It's so enormous, they've had to trim some of the trees to get it into the park.
We're in a lorry, basically, which contains a mobile MRI scanning unit, which comprises of a huge magnet and all the various computerized gizmos that go with it. But it's rather like an extremely fancy X-ray or a CT scan. And it's going to tell us a lot more about the problems in Trudy's neck than a conventional X-ray will do. With a chimp, the very first thing you have to rule out is trauma, so be it a fracture or whatever. But we'll see. We'll get a lot more idea from the MRI image as to whether the lesions we saw on X-ray are caused by trauma or whether they're caused by something more sinister like a tumour growing. Both possible. It's a chimp. We've got to rule out trauma first.
MRI scanners are used regularly in hospitals. The patient needs to lie very still, so Trudy will have to be anaesthetised for the whole procedure. Always a risk.
We're going to be doing a pretty major scan. We're going to be looking at the brain and the whole spinal cord, and depending on how we go with the anaesthetic, we might look at the hips and perhaps other parts of the body that look a bit suspect when we're scanning as well.
Trudy is driven across the park and carefully transferred to the scanner lorry. Jeremy, vets John and Femke, and radiologist Andrew work quickly to get everything ready for the scan.
Is there any way we could, temperature-wise? It's too cold in here for her, way too cold.
The team aren't sure what's causing Trudy's condition, and they need to work down the body, so the first scan he does is her head.
You can see the brain, which is this part just here, and we're looking at the different things. We're looking at the fluid that surrounds the brain. We can see the grey and the white matter. We're looking to see if there's any tumours, any great nasty effects from some trauma.
This is just, fantastic technology which gives you effectively like opening pages of an anatomy textbook, which is wonderful. I don't know how it works, haven't got a clue. It's a bit like going to a financial advisor. They'll explain everything to you and 10 minutes later you've forgotten. And I know people have explained the principle of MRI to me in the past. Yeah, I'm blowed if I can remember it.
We can see here exactly what's inside her head. So we can see that there's no great space-occupying lesion that's, for example, a tumour that's going to cause any big problems. So far, so good, touch wood. We haven't quite finished. We're going to look at the spine next, and so we can have a look down there.
Now, as long as we know that she doesn't have something like a tumor that's eating away at her central nervous system and causing her pain that she's hiding and the whole thing, that's my main concern for Trudy, is her welfare.
Later, concern in the scanner.
Massive lesion there.
Oh my God.
Could this be the reason for Trudy's problems? Leanne Bates and her husband Mike are regular visitors to the park. They're both primate experts from California, where Alison's from. They swap ideas and research with the team at Monkey World and help with the primates training.
You can vary the session by mixing up the behaviors a little bit more.
Yeah, okay.
Today, Leanne is helping Donna from the Small Monkeys team. She's training one of the tiniest monkeys in the park, Marcel the marmoset, to present his hand for inspection.
Marcel, target.
Good boy.
Technically, the technique they're using is called operant conditioning.
Marcel, target.
Well done.
Clicker training for short. because a click sound is used to tell the primates they've done something right. It's mostly used on the larger apes, so for tiny marmosets to learn, it's quite unusual.
Marcel, target?
The first stage is to persuade the monkey to come to the right spot on the mesh by providing a target.
Marcel, target!
We're actually conditioning a really natural behavior for most primates, which is to reach out and touch food, which is a really strong motivator for them. And we're pairing that with a click, which is actually something that tells them they did something good, because it usually is followed by the food.
Good boy.
These guys have really tiny fingers. They get into squabbles once in a while. So finger injuries are not uncommon. So you can imagine to have a hand presentation at request at any time in the day gives you a great opportunity to look at an injury up close, and in most cases even treat it.
Target!
Leanne believes clicker training is the kindest and least stressful way to help captive primates.
This is basically making their life here as high quality as possible. We want to let them just do what they do in a social setting. And that's really the goal here at Monkey World.
Nathan, target? Good boy, well done.
Marcel's been successful with the target, so Donna tries tiny Nathan next and asks for his hand.
Hand? Nathan, hand.
But Nathan's lost interest, and Marcel's nowhere to be seen. So, for now, Leanne and Donna abandon the training session. At the park's marmoset enclosure, the tiny monkeys are enjoying a treat of stick insects. Common marmosets are native to the central forests of Brazil, and in the wild live in groups of up to around 15 individuals. They have claw-like nails which help them cling to branches and land when they leap.
Marcel!
Leanne and Donna are back to see if they can persuade the marmosets to present their small hands for examination. The monkeys lost interest halfway through the last session, but ever-patient Donna is trying again with Marcel.
Marcel, hand? No. Marcel, hand. Good boy, well done.
So click when he gives you the hand.
Okay.
And then you can say okay when you're done.
Marcel, hand. Good boy, well done.
And then go ahead with that duration again.
Hand. Marcel, hand. Good boy, well done.
Yeah, that's great. And he did start to leave it there for a duration, which is good. And that's what you want to work toward.
Yeah.
Cool. Well done.
The training session went really well. Obviously, when we start it each day, you don't know what the animal is going to be thinking, whether they're going to be in the mood for training or not. But today seemed to go really well. Marcel, hand. Good boy. Definitely a good result. Hopefully, all the other marmosets in the park will be achieving the same thing.
The majority of the chimps at the park have been rescued from beach photographers and the pet trade. The care staff try to encourage the kind of behaviour they would have learned in the forest, like foraging for different foods. Today, they're putting out pachnoda grubs, high-protein insect larvae similar to those the chimps might eat in their natural habitat. Hananya's group all had a tough start, but life at the park has given them a second chance. Being the alpha male, Hananya always gets to eat first and has no hesitation snacking on the grubs. Gangly teenager Shamak hoovers them up and looks for more, while Simon and high-ranking female Joni are a little unsure. Not enamoured with the grubs, Simon heads to the pond to correct his bad hair day. While former lab chimp Evelyn, usually a bit of a tomboy, ignores the grubs completely in favour of comfy blankets. But while Hananya and his group relax, there's one chimp missing.
All right, then I'll go back.
Will you? Good.
Trudy has been suffering from back problems, and the team are hoping a mobile MRI scanner will reveal the cause. They've looked at her brain and are now examining her spine.
Anything that's going to be sinister like a tumour is going to show up nice and bright. So we haven't seen anything there. Exclude the brain, because although it's bright, it's meant to be surrounded by fluid, so that's fine. That's good news.
Wildlife vet John checks Trudy's vital signs, and she's lined up for a lower back scan.
There's a massive lesion there.
Oh my God.
So it's...
Andrew has spotted an abnormality in Trudy's lower lumbar region. This could be the cause of her pain.
Looks like perhaps a slight herniation of disc material here.
Interesting that some of the discs in the neck appear to be desiccated or dropping.
We're looking at the top part of lumbar vertebrae number 5, which looks to have perhaps ankylosed or fused with the vertebrae above it. You can imagine two bones that are meant to be separate, but when they become one, they start to fuse together. Then it means that anything that's meant to be between them, be that disc material or if it's impinging on the spinal cord, then it's going to cause problems to whatever that happens to be. If it's impinging on some nerves or some the spinal cord, then it's going to cause a lot of pain, and that could be why she's now tentative, and instead of jumping from tree to tree, she's now going down to the ground. So yeah, it's going to cause a lot of pain. Is it curative? You can actually go in and shave off part of the bone. That's a decision that John will make in consultation with his colleagues.
A lot of primates get spinal arthritis, but not in the same kind of position as that. And Trudy's young. It's a very juvenile animal to have, spinal arthritis. What I'd like to do is hear the opinion of someone who spends, is an expert in interpreting spinal scans. And that's our next move, really.
It's been a worthwhile exercise, and the team may be closer to finding out what's causing Trudy's discomfort. But at the moment, there are still more questions than answers.
You're a good little man, aren't you? Yes, you are.
Baby woolly monkey Diego is now 6 months old. He's been hand-reared by Alison and the primate care team, but their sleepless nights have come to an end.
Today's probably the last day that I'm gonna have him here with me feeding him, because I think really now I've become more of a hindrance in his life than an asset, and he's ready to join the woolly monkey group for good. So I think today is probably gonna be the last day that he stays with me. At this point, he spends all day long with the woolly monkeys and flies about the enclosure, so there is no need for us to be fussing over him. He's a woolly monkey and he's ready to go home.
Diego is about to join his new woolly family full-time. Three months ago, tragedy struck at the park when they lost one of these precious endangered woolly youngsters after a fall. Little Raúl's accident shocked everyone, but now the team have a plan to make sure Diego stays safe.
Little Raúl actually took a spill and cracked his head open inside the house. Now, we need to make sure that the house is kitted up as good as humanly possible for when a young lad like him starts moving about, that if he does take a tumble or a fall, because they do fall from the trees, they do make mistakes when they're learning, and we just need to make sure that in the house there are enough ropes hanging down that wherever he is, he can reach out and grab something. Even if he's falling down, odds are that that tail or hands and feet will latch onto something before he hits the deck.
So the maintenance team and keepers get to work transforming the woolly monkey playhouse into a safe environment for adults and babies. A delighted Holly is happy to give a guided tour.
So we've put in things like laundry baskets, which they like to sit in, they like to sit on, and we can hide their dinner in or insects in just to keep things new and different for them. We've also added some logs, which we've suspended from the ceiling. Lavar's very, very strong. He's the dominant male, and he would throw these around in displays. So just to make sure nobody gets injured and that our windows are safe, we've secured them with hose that Diego also can climb up and down. And we've added rope bridges that are nice and brightly coloured, so they're fun to look at. And Diego can use those to access different parts of the house, like the food bowls, the floor, the ceiling. But one of the most important things we've done is we've installed drop-downs of hose for Diego to be able to get up and out of the way and access the ceiling and slides and that kind of thing. But we've made a couple of other additions as well. One's a cargo net, which we've added up in the rafters. We've secured that with great big bolts, so nobody will be taking that down. And that will help us if Diego's up in the rafters and does take a bit of a tumble. He will catch himself in the cargo net. And whilst it's good for him, it's fun for the adults too. They can swing round in it and sunbathe in it under the skylights.
Diego has been spending his days in the bedrooms at the woolly house. Tonight, he will sleep there for the first time. And in the morning, all being well, he'll be allowed into the playroom. Keeper Holly has one last sleepless night to check how he's getting on.
I stayed here till about 9 o'clock last night, making sure that everybody dropped off to sleep well. And he had a pretty late night. I think he was making the most of not having any adult supervision. But at 9 o'clock, he fell asleep with Julio on a shelf in one of the bedrooms, curled up in a ball, which, well, we couldn't really be happier for him to decide to sleep with a woolly monkey rather than sleep in the crates we provide for them with fleecy blankets in. Is such a big step. Everyone's absolutely chuffed to bits.
After a good night's sleep, Diego, half-brother Julio, and the rest of the group get a chance to see the home improvements.
Well done, guys. Come on then. Come on, Suze.
So far, it's been absolutely fantastic. Diego was a little bit unsure at first. We were quite happy for him not to even brave the room for days and just check it out from a distance, but he went and had a look in the tunnel, had a quick peek in the room, thought about it for a minute, and then he was straight in, all over the floor, up and down the ropes, and the browse seemed to be a particularly good hit, jumping about in that and eating some of it. So far it's going fantastically.
Next time on Monkey Life, the ring-tailed lemur who ruled the roost at a family home.
Kaya didn't fit in to our life at all. We had to fit around Kaya. You ready, Elvira? Look, ha! That's it.
And the Chilean capuchins get a lesson in wild behaviour.